morning and welcome to virtual summer reading program. Today the theme is Imagine Your Story. So today we have two stories to read today and a puppet show and a skit to go with it. Should be pretty fun. And we're going to start today with The Princess and the Pig by Jonathan Emmett and Polly Bernatine and published by Walker and Sons. Princess and the Pig. Not long ago, in a kingdom not far from here, a farmer was traveling home from the market with a cartload of straw. The farmer was so poor that he didn't have a horse to pull his own cart. In the back of the cart lay a tiny piglet. There she is. Nobody wanted to buy the piglet at the market, but the farmer had taken pity on it.
I'll call you Pigmilla,
he decided, as this seemed to be a good name for a pig. It was a hot day, and the farmer stopped to rest in the shade of a great castle. Far, far above him, on a high balcony, a queen was inspecting her new baby daughter. The queen was so rich that she had 7 nannies that didn't have to look after her own child. The queen picked the baby up out of her cradle and held her at arm's length.
I'll call you Priscilla,
she decided, as this seemed like a good name for a princess. A moment later, a wet, squelching noise came from the baby's diaper, closely followed by an awful smell.
Oh, yuck!
Screeched the queen, dropping the baby and running off to find the royal nannies. She left so quickly that she didn't notice she dropped the baby over the edge of the balcony. Oh, there she is. Down, down, down went the baby into the farmer's cart. Up, up, up flew the piglet into the princess's cradle. When the queen returned and found the piglet lying where the baby should have been, she let out an even louder shriek and fainted into the arms of the nannies. The king thought he knew what had happened.
A bad fairy's done this,
he explained.
The fairy wasn't invited to the prince's christening, so she's turned the baby into a piglet to get her revenge. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books.
Like Sleeping Beauty. Meanwhile, the farmer returned home and was surprised to discover a baby girl lying where the piglet should have been. The farmer's wife thought she knew what had happened.
A good fairy has done this,
she explained.
The fairy knew how poor and honest we are and how badly we wanted a child. So she turned the piglet into a baby. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books.
Like Thumbelina. And so, without a second thought, the baby became Pigmella, the farmer's daughter, and the piglet became Priscilla, the royal princess. It wasn't long before Pigmella was able to eat, to walk, and get dressed by herself. And the farmer and his wife soon forgot that she had ever been a pig. Things were not so easy for Priscilla, but the king and queen never let anyone forget that she was a real princess. As Pigmella grew older, she became smarter and beautiful and was admired by everyone she met. But as Priscilla grew older, she grew not so smart, not so beautiful, and was avoided by everyone she met. She's eaten off the table, like a pig. Then, one day, the farmer's wife overheard some of the castle servants talking about a princess that had been turned into a pig.
It's just like what happened to Pigmilla,
she told her husband.
Only it's the other way around.
The farmer soon guessed what had happened.
The princess and the pig must have swapped places somehow. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books.
Like Prince and a Pauper. The poor farmer and his wife were very unhappy. They loved Pigmella, and they knew they must return her to her rightful home. Oh, so sad. Pigmella was also unhappy. She loved the farmer and his wife and did not want to live with anyone else. But they were an honest family, so the next day they all went to the castle to see the king and the queen. The king and the queen listened to the farmer's story. But they didn't believe it.
What nonsense!
Cried the queen.
Ridiculous!
The king laughed.
This girl may be smart and beautiful, but she does not look or speak like a real princess.
The queen thought she knew what was happening.
It's a trick,
She declared.
This girl is just a farmer's daughter pretending to be a princess so that she can marry a prince. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books.
Like Puss in Boots. And so Pigmella returned home with the farmer and his wife, where she married a young shepherd and lived happily ever after. And never once wished she was a princess. And Priscilla also got married to a handsome prince, although he had to be talked into it.
Priscilla was changed into a pig by a bad fairy.
The king explained.
Once you kiss her, the spell will be broken, and she will turn back into a beautiful princess.
Added the queen. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books, they assured him. The Frog Prince. But unfortunately for the prince, it's not the sort of thing that happens in this particular book. The end. I just want to remind everyone that you can sign up for summer reading program on our website. There's a link to Beanstack, and there's all sorts of challenges that you can sign up for. And we're doing prizes. We'll bring them out to curbside for you, prize books, and you get into a drawing for a basket at the end of the summer. All right, so our next book is Princesses on the Run. Princesses on the Run by Smiljana. Once upon a time, there lived a beautiful princess named Antonia. She had the most elegant dresses. She played with the newest toys. She had the largest book collection in the entire kingdom. But for some reason, she could not pinpoint why she felt bored. Antonia had many friends, but they were never available for play dates. Cinderella was always busy cleaning. Rapunzel never left her tower. Snow White had her hands full, and Sleeping Beauty was always too tired. As each day turned into night, which turned into day, Antonia grew more and more restless. To cheer her up, Antonia's parents offered her more presents. They gave her more dresses, more toys, and more books. They also gave her a fish, a cat, a dog, Fancier dresses? And a state-of-the-art computer? And an elephant. But Antonia was still bored. As she stood in her bedroom, surrounded by her presents, Antonia began to feel lonely.
Oh, but what could I do?
She asked herself. Antonia felt a bolt of lightning go through her and she ran straight out of the room. She ran out of the castle, through her town, through the deep, dark forest. With every step she took, she ran faster and she could feel her heart beat quickly. Antonia didn't recognize this new feeling in herself. This might be the thing they called freedom she's read about. Antonia ran and ran until something long and soft brushed against her face. Looking up, she realized it was Rapunzel's long braid. Rapunzel, who had been trapped in her tower long enough, was also escaping. The two princes clasped hands and ran through the forest, not thinking about what they had left behind. Antonia and Rapunzel ran and ran and ran, but stopped when they heard a noise. Ouch! Squealed a voice. Someone was hopping toward them wearing a shiny glass slipper. Who could it be? It was Cinderella. Oh! Take that shoe off. Come with us.
Come with us.
Antonia told her, and to which Cinderella happily agreed. Antonia, Rapunzel, and Cinderella giggled and clapped as they ran as fast as they could. When the three princesses reached a clearing, they found someone hanging 7 hats to dry. Who could it be? It was Snow White!
Drop those and come with us.
Antonia told her. She didn't have to tell her twice. Snow White kicked the clothes basket aside and quickly joined the run with her friends. There's the laundry. The four princesses couldn't contain their excitement and cheered and laughed as they continued onward.
What on earth?
Sleeping Beauty said as she looked out her window. It had been years since she had risen from her bed, but the laughter and cheers were enough to wake her from her deep sleep.
Join us.
The group called to her, and the 5 princesses were running and skipping and ready to go for a run. Wait for me! Wait for me! Called Little Red Riding Hood. She was on her way to her grandmother's house when she heard all the excitement. Now was her chance to run away. But Little Red Riding Hood wasn't the only one who heard the princesses on the run. Bears, deers, rabbits. Just grab some. And all sorts of forest creatures began crawling out to join the fun. Soon, even the 3 billy goats gruff had joined the procession. They were running. There they are, running through the woods. Suddenly, everyone came to a stop. They reached the sea, and there was nowhere else to go. What are we going to do now? Little Red Riding Hood wondered aloud. Antonia looked at the beautiful sunset. This was the best day she had ever had, and she had at last found her friends. Maybe things could be different, Antonia thought to herself, as she was no longer bored. I should be getting home, Antonia answered at last. The creatures scratched their heads and thought about this. After all, who was going to tuck them in bed? So They all nodded in agreement and took Antonia's lead. As everyone turned back to their own castles and burrows, the princesses and the woodland creatures chatted happily among themselves.
Yes, we should totally do this again.
Snow White told the shy deer at her side. Antonia and her princess friends linked arms as they skipped home. They were happy to return and sang songs about their future. All except for Sleeping Beauty, who hadn't had this much excitement in a very long time. When the princesses returned, everything was different. Rapunzel had cut her hair into a much easier to manage bob. Her new do was so popular that girls from far and wide lined up to have their hair cut. Cinderella designed funky new dresses for everyone to envy in the entire castle. Soon she was trading her fresh designs for help with all of her chores. Sleeping Beauty discovered yoga. Suddenly, she had way more energy than she knew what to do with. And Snow White could not stop running. She felt sure she could go further, so she ran a cross-country tour. There she goes. Antonia felt refreshed after her run. She planned many more play dates with her friends and decided to donate her old toys, clothes, and books. While doing this, she saw how incredible lucky she was. Her very own elephant? Antonia had never realized how special that was. And when she wondered if her elephant liked to run too, Antonia decided there was only one way to find out. And they all are riding off on the elephant. All right, princess is on the run. The end. I'm so glad you guys could join us today for our summer reading program virtual story time. If you have any questions about Storytime, please call the library. We'd be happy to help you, or our summer reading program or adult reading program. Thank you.